All right. Welcome back to Epic Your Life. I am Carlos, and this is my gorgeous wife, Chantel. If you guys don't know my bride and queen, if this is your first time, we could
All right.
extraordinary.
Welcome back
Whoa.
to Epic Your Life.
So little glitch there. Sorry about that. But together we create extraordinary lives. And she is an incredible founder of Epic Your Life, working together, but she has changed thousands of lives over the years. 25 years. I was just doing that math. 25 years of creating extraordinary, helping people through their triggers, their hurts, and their hangups and their trauma to triumph and truly having victorious lives. My life being one of them, with over 13 years now together. And just every day I get better because of you, my beautiful queen and bride. Thank you so much, Chantel.
Thank you. Yes. And welcome to my amazing husband, who is always working on skills and strategies for business with our clients, changing lives, radically transforming their stories, right? Creating new epic stories, and super fun. That's what he's doing right now, as we are in two different states. And he's helping people make dreams come true, and fulfilling and strategically creating what we want, what they want.
Yes. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to interrupt. Forgot to start the recording. Of course. I'm distracted. That's why. I'm distracted by my beautiful wife. I miss her.
She's been away from home a little too long.
That's right. A week today. And so tomorrow will be 8 days, but I'll be coming home tomorrow.
Yay.
And it's so good. Good to see you, gorgeous. Yeah, so I thought, we were talking about what we were going to talk about today in our Coffee Connect. First of all, I get to connect with you and see you. So that's always a huge blessing. Second of all, is emotions. And, are they good, bad, ugly, indifferent, beneficial? When are they good? When are they not good? How are they beneficial? Why are they beneficial? And when do they happen more for men and women? Is it healthy in a marriage? Like, these are good questions, right? A lot of questions. But as we process through things, my own self included, emotions come up. And even being absent away from my wife, those are emotions too. And recognizing, how much I love her and miss her. And so I thought we would have that as a topic of discussion today. It's been coming up with a lot of people, that clients and stuff, working with, even some yesterday, some today. I do a lot of appointments early. And so it's been coming up, and it's kind of a theme, and it's something you and I have been processing through a lot, right? Validation of emotions and the benefits of that, when and how and where, and all those things I think are good to talk about. What say you, gorgeous?
Yeah, so it's interesting because we do a lot of mentorship, like Carlos was saying, and so working with individuals and couples, and recognizing. So there's a couple of different things. So you talked about emotions, right? So emotions and our feelings, and are they good? Are they bad? Are they whatever, right? Well, I think one of the first things that we need to recognize is emotions are just emotions. Okay, they're there. They're like a litmus scale for kind of what we're going through. I would say that they're not good or bad. It's a matter of really the lens that we're seeing through. Are we seeing them as a tool to let us know kind of where we're at, right? Or are we allowing ourselves to be controlled by them? So, a lot of times, we talk about, I on a mentorship this morning, I was talking about the snooze button. I don't feel like getting up, so I'm going to hit the snooze button for 10 more minutes. I'm going to procrastinate, right? And then all of a sudden, I'm going to get up and I'm going to have all of this pressure of rushing to get done what I need to do, or I'm going to be late for something or whatever. Why? Because we allowed our feelings of not wanting to get up to control us, right? So it's the same thing in relationship when we avoid a topic of conversation with someone we love, right? We're allowing our emotions or our feelings to control our behavior, right?
Yeah, very true. And so I think even acknowledging and allowing emotions. So first of all, with men think they're being really cool and tough by not even sharing emotions that they're feeling. And what I think is the probably the biggest misunderstanding, or how do I say it? So when you and I are in sync, and it's beautiful, like it's powerful. However, and I describe it this way because you can just feel this flow between Chantel and I, whether we're together or not. But as soon as like I start getting stressed and frustrated and I have these emotions and I don't communicate that with Chantel, then she actually starts to get emotional because it's happening in me. And it starts to actually create this out of synchronicity because I'm not willing to acknowledge those emotions. I'm not willing to tell her that I'm having a sucky day or that something, because I'm going to be tough. I'm going to handle it, and I can handle it, and I'll just put it on my shoulders. And I actually believe, I convince myself, and we've been through this a lot. I convince myself that, oh, well, Chantel, doesn't know, or meaning like that I'm protecting her. And yet I see this emotional things happening with her. And I'm like, what the hell? What is going on? Why are you so emotional? And it's like, duh, I think I'm feeling you. Right? That's come up, right? Right? Now you tell your thoughts inside of it.
Well, I mean, okay, so in relationship, in marriage, if you will, right? So we are one flesh. So,
Yes.
I think, oftentimes our behavior is a direct response of how we love ourselves.
Well, that's good. Dang.
So, if Carlos is operating in such a way that he's allowing the stress to pile up and he's choosing not to communicate, he's also then choosing not to honor himself or me, right? In, a releasing the emotions, releasing the pressure valve, so to speak. So, the topic that I was talking about this morning with a client was sort of about this like unconscious self-punishment that happens. That as a child, may have gotten us attention, right? So if we're operating from a victim place, then we would have been fed in some way, shape, or form, whether it was, the poor me, so then you get the doubting on, or, attention is attention, good or bad, right? Whether it's healthy or unhealthy, it's a basic human need. And so oftentimes our behavior as adults even looks similar to that child. It's like you're just behaving like a child, right? It's that response, but it's the response, and it's the habitual behavior from what we're allowing the feelings to do.
It's so good.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So good.
So, in the
Before you go
scenario
on,
where Carlos is stressed out and he's, maybe have some like shame or guilt, and he's just compounding that on him instead of communicating and, looking for, a solution and for us to work through something together. If he's just taking that all on himself, it's virtually like self-harm.
Yeah. So good.
Right.
That's
And
right.
then you wonder why the people around us are responding the way they are.
But I want to acknowledge what you said, because that was a bomb shell, dropped a bomb. And I hope everyone listening like wrote that down. I want to say it right. So I wrote it down. Our behavior is a direct result of how we love ourselves. Is that right? Did I say that right?
Mhm.
That's so good. Everyone need to pause and think about that for a second. Seriously. Sometimes we skip over shit and we shouldn't. We should review it. And especially when this woman drops a nugget like that, like I just wrote it down. I'm like, I want to like make some billboards of this because this is real and it's super good nugget. Our behavior. Now, the other thing that you say, Chantel, can you say it? Because I screw it up sometimes. Is not a result of our, or is not our identity, or what is that? How do you say that?
So our behavior does not define us.
That's right.
It's a result of our experience.
Not define our identity. That's one of my favorite ones. She says, it feels like I relieve things, right? It helps me release things knowing that my behavior is shit that I went through growing up, or trauma that I experienced, or
It's a
relationship.
response, right?
Yeah.
Behavior is a response.
But it doesn't define my identity. That's the part that gives me release.
Right.
It's like, crap, man, if some of the stupid shit I did was because that's who you are, Carlos. That's just who you are. You're an asshole. No, that sometimes my behavior, it's a trigger or response to
Your
situation.
behavior looks like an asshole, but it's not who you are.
Right. My heart is that I love people so much that I'm willing to trigger them even to help them get better, even if they hate me. And so our behavior does not define our identity, but our behavior is a direct result of how we love ourselves or how we see ourselves even. I mean, that is just marinate on that thing. We could drop the mic and just end with that. Like, that's good enough, because guys, you could ponder that for your lifetime, and you should. My wife, Chantel, brings these incredible, oh my goodness, I just want to cuss, but we're on YouTube, incredible nuggets. And she's incredibly sexy and hot when she does this, but she's super bright and brilliant. Like, this is amazing. Like, I want you guys to think of that. Our behavior is a direct result of how we love ourselves or see ourselves, our story. But our behavior does not define our identity. And our story needs to change. Your story needs to change. My story continues to change.
And your behavior changes, right?
Yes.
Your behavior changes with healing. Your behavior changes with decision points, choices, right? It's kind of like, so the other thing that we were talking about this morning was the addiction. This may sting. The addiction of self-harm.
Yeah, for real.
Okay. The addiction to the need to be punished for something.
So I was processing with a client, and this came up, but from a little bit different angle. It's like, if I feel that I screwed up, or if my decisions were wrong, or if I'm dealing with all these emotions inside, but I'm not releasing them. Remember, that's why our process talks about release, receive, give, right? We've got to go through that cycle consistently to be to have a productive life. We'll get stuck sometimes in the fear and pain. And I screwed up. I made a bad decision. But here's what's interesting. When you believe that about yourself, this is why what she said was so powerful. Our behavior is a direct result of how we love ourselves. Like, I'm going to go back and talk to that person that I was on one of our clients this morning, because that's a bombshell of blessing and breakthrough. Because here's why. What I noticed is this behavior with this person, because they felt like a decision they made was not good and that it's just snowballing, and they're stuck in that and they haven't released that feeling of, I made a mistake in this decision. It's huge, just life-altering decision, and it's a mistake. They are sabotaging then there's different situations, whether it's their marriage, their relationships, their business, their interactions with clients. They're saying some stuff to clients, and I'm like, what the hell? Why are you saying that? That's not like you. Why are you all of a sudden defending your business like it needs defending, or like your business is crap, and like the business, all of a sudden you're becoming a victim in your business and defending your business to your clients? Like, I'm like, this is not like you. What's happening? Again, the behavior was a result of how he was loving himself, or lack of loving himself, in that moment of processing through it. And it comes out through the business, comes out through the relationships. And I can speak from experience. Like, we deal with this with clients, but now I'm going to talk about me. I do the same stuff. I get stressed about whether it's some financial thing or some situation with a client that I feel like I failed or fell short. And then instead of handling it like a normal human being, I go into this whole victim mode of like, well, I'm crap and I'm horrible. And then I sabotage all the crap. And then you feel it and you start getting frustrated with me. And then I just compound it. I'm like, see, everybody's against me. I'm a loser.
Well, I want to hone in on this though, because listen, we all have addictions. We all have coping mechanisms, right? And if we can see shame, guilt, punishment as an addiction, then we have the power to change it, right? We have the power to choose another behavior. We have the power to choose, a different response. So, it's kind of like somebody who, is addicted to drugs, right? They don't love the drugs, but it feeds something. It feeds something in us. So what does that look like for the addiction of shame and guilt, the addiction of self-punishment? Even, so far as the client that I was talking to this morning said, I know I need a spanking.
Right.
Right. So, it's the lens that we're seeing through, right? If it's feeding that addiction of, so then we're just going to create the behavior that requires punishment. That's the truth.
That's right.
So,
Exactly.
so when we have that in us and we haven't chosen to release and forgive the child in us
Come on.
that required punishment, that required discipline, that we saw it as punishment. So now we're bringing that into our adult life. So we're just recreating scenarios where we require punishment, right? Like, we create this stuff.
Yep.
The people around us have no power against it, because it's our life, it's our story.
That's right. So true.
And as long as it remains our story, we're going to create it everywhere we go.
So true.
It's our story. So do we want to continue that story, or do we want to make a better choice? Do we want to make a choice to, and here's a caveat though. We also have to release the judgment over the child and the addiction. Okay. We have to release the judgment, because the truth is we all have it. We all have survival mechanisms, coping skills, all of the things that we've learned along the way. Some may be beneficial, some may not, right? If we judge ourselves harshly, then we're feeding the same cycle, right?
Yep.
So we have to, the release needs to come through forgiveness and literally love the child. Love the child for protecting you in that season. It got you through whatever you had to get through. in your life. Love that child and understand him or her.
It's good.
Understand why that child created that coping mechanism.
Yep. So true.
Understand. So when we truly understand why little Chantel created this habit or this coping mechanism to survive whatever it is that I had to survive in that season, from an adult standpoint, like the healing is in the forgiveness, in the understanding, in the empathy, right? And then we get the freedom from that. Then
Yes.
we get to choose a different lens. We get to choose to create a new story,
So
right?
good. So good. So good. And so real and so important. Like, I love that, babe. Like, and then it holds true too, because even I went through this, which I'm so grateful you helped me to see differently, is just even my own judgment on that younger version of myself, or that judgment on the husband that I was even before in my previous marriage.
Right.
Yet I threw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, there was some really good qualities to that person and that man and that high school, even though I thought, that player that I was back then, but judgment on that guy was not allowing me even to lose weight, drop weight, like, and to have the confidence to do the things that it would take to lose weight, because I was self-sabotaging. Right. So
Yeah,
it is
absolutely.
real.
Absolutely.
So what we judge, we become, essentially, or we hold on to things because we're judging it, right? Instead of releasing. And so, super powerful, but I want to now address it in a marriage and in relationships with couples and bring it home to a practical sense, because this all sounds super good. But one thing that I recognize is, even in our interactions, you and I, and our communications, like, it's a trust factor too. It's a trust that each other can take it. And when I think of business principles, I always tie it back to principles in business. Is like, we're always told in business, and we're programmed this: if you're any kind of good business entrepreneur, business person, and you have subordinates or people that you're responsible for, employees or people that work for you, team members, and then you also have maybe you were a manager somewhere, and you also have an owner, something you had to deal with, right? So you had some people under you and people above you, right? That's common in business and life and military, whatever you want to. So then we're taught, you never complain down. Right? Or you always speak life to the people below you, and those above you is where you complain and you try to fix things. So what's interesting though is, then I think men feel that then about their wives. So we got to address this, first of all, that men may potentially believe their wife is under them, which, you and I don't believe this at all. We believe in the yoke, which is a great equalizer. It doesn't work if one person is like this with that yoke on, right? You got to work together. So the point is like, really, when you're releasing and communicating to your spouse, it is not complaining down, first of all. You don't complain to your kids about your spouse. That's a huge no-no for sure, because your kids you're honoring and blessing and raising. But the other thing is, like, we complain up, but even that, recognizing I should be complaining up to my wife for sure about things that I'm dealing with, but there's a way. And you've helped me with this, because you always say to me, it's not that you're telling me these things, but it's how you're doing it. Like, your how is just overwhelming me. It is absolutely just a load of crap that you're throwing on top of me. And it's not feeling like a release. It feels like a complaint, and it's heaviness, heaviness, heaviness.
Yeah. So let me point something out. In this whole conversation, you're talking about complaining. Okay. So
And
that
pain.
in and of itself feels heavy.
Yeah, good point.
So I want to kind of rewind
Yep.
to what we're looking at, right? We're looking at marriage
Mm-hmm.
and family. Okay.
Yep.
So, recognizing the model that you're talking about as far as, hierarchy and whatnot, so there's that. And then there's also the lens of which we see through, which is the yoke, but not only the yoke. What is the more beneficial way that we've chosen to address things as of, probably the last couple of years that we've learned team.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
So if we think about a team, maybe not everybody is familiar with team sports, but in a team sport, right, you have positions and we have roles.
Yep.
One is not more important than the other.
That's good.
However, the role looks different, right? So if our family is a team, and so I would even challenge you in that, don't complain to your kids type of deal. Again, if we're taking complaining out of it,
Yep.
then
That's
we're
good.
relieving the pressure of the heaviness, okay? Because when we're addressing challenges or we're facing something, we're creating a solution, we're looking for, a way that we can handle a scenario better, right? Is it a complaint? Or is it simply we're choosing to go after a solution? We're choosing to create a win-win, right? So in a team, we all have the same goal to win, right? What does that look like? For every individual, like they have their own wins, but it's still the team's goal is for every team member to win.
Come on.
Okay. So if we shift our lens and we operate from a place of we're a team, we know our roles, we absolutely 100% know that, somebody who plays this position has a better skill in that position. Somebody who plays this position has a better skill in that position. We need them all, right? That's what a team requires. A team requires all of the gifts and talents and to cover the weaknesses, right? So if we see our family and our marriage as a team, we have the same goal. The goal is to win, and what the winning is whatever our dreams and goals are, right? Whatever we're working towards in this life, in this journey,
Oh.
then it feels different. It's a different feel. So when we address challenges, don't you think that feels different than complaining?
Absolutely. So to bring this home even to like my experience and I remember leaving California. Here we had built a multi-million-dollar company, and little did I know COVID was going to hit, but I felt good about it, but yet it hurt, right? It hurt. And I remember too, part of it was my judgment on moving back to like a small town of what I thought, right? What that looked like going from a big city boy that was successful because I could afford to live in, Costa Mesa, Newport Beach, close to the pier, like all the ways that represented. And that was my success. And then being able to leave that felt like I was failing in a sense. But that's where, as men, sometimes we have this feelings, these emotions, but we don't want to burden our wives with it. We don't want to tell them what we're feeling. But I know you always tell me it's the how, it's not that you. And so it's like you're saying, in a productive way, I can come to you and say, look, I need to release some things. I need to just share my feelings and my emotions. And especially when you're feeling that I'm feeling it anyways, because we're one flesh, and it kind of gets us out of sync because I'm not acknowledging what I'm dealing with, but you feel it. And so then you're kind of, in a sense, manifesting it in the sense because you're frustrated and you're not understanding why. And then you're like, I must be feeling something in you. What's really going on? And then finally, and here's the productive side. If I come to you and say, I just need I need to get some things off my chest. I need to release some things. So then it may appear to be complaining because I don't know how to quite acknowledge these emotions in the beginning. But I need to release them. But I don't want you to take it personal. Don't receive this. I just need a release. So, and releases can look in different ways, right? But the point is that it is good And I know that once I've done that, it's like, whew. And same vice versa. Like you're way better at it than I am. And you're like, but I don't want you to be offended by this. I just need to say some things. I need to get some things off my chest, essentially, because I'm holding on to stuff that I know is not true. So I kind of want you to address that, because I think a lot of couples deal with this stuff, and especially men who feel like, well, I've got to be tough. But I'm also recognizing that it has to do with trusting you, that you can actually handle it. And you and I have had those conversations where I'm like, but I don't want to overwhelm you. And you're like, well, I feel you anyways.
Yeah. So I think it kind of goes back to like where we're at as a society, even like we're soft. We're
Yep.
soft. Everything's about politically correct. We get offended at the drop of a hat, all of these different things. So that's also showing up in our marriages. It's showing up, all across in our relationships across the board. So if we recognize that pressure is built up and it requires a release, if you're familiar with, a pressure cooker, right? Like to cook things really fast. Well, they utilize the pressure to get a quicker result, but sometimes we need to just release the valve a little bit. So if we think about, ourselves as human beings and the reality of what, happens emotionally, mentally, physically when we're processing through things, when things are changing, when we're in transition, it is like a pressure cooker, right?
Okay.
And so if we can get a humanity to grow a set of balls or thicken up some skin a little bit to where we recognize that we don't have to be offended when somebody releases pressure. Like it's just pressure. Let them freaking release it.
Yes.
Let them release it. They need to, right? Because then what happens if we can handle it and we can create a safe enough place where for somebody to release some pressure, they get over it much quicker. It's what happens when we don't have the ability to release the pressure, and then it festers, and then that's where the bitterness, the resentment, all of those things comes in. So if we can consciously as a team create the place and the safe space to recognize like pressure is real, pressure gets shit done, okay, it's not a bad thing.
Come on.
It's how we handle it, right? So if we can handle it as a team, handle it together, recognizing that I don't have to be offended by this, he just needs to relieve some pressure. Hey, you know what? He may need to orgasm. Like, am I willing to? Maybe I'm not in the mood, but guess what? He needs to relieve some pressure. So let's handle this. Get the shit done so we can move on. So we can get whatever, next phase done. Like, we get so caught up in our emotions and our feelings. And that's what I'm talking about as far as control, right? When we allow ourselves to be completely controlled by emotions and whatnot, oh my gosh. And then the tit for tat thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, oh, well, he's not giving me what I need. So I'm not going to give him what he needs.
Yep.
Listen,
Yep.
that's a perpetuating cycle that is a downward spiral. Again, going back to the punishment, the addiction to victim.
Yep.
Okay. So on the flip side, let's create a story where we're responsible for our actions, our inactions. Pressure is real and it is good, right? So let's create a safe place for those on our team to release the pressure.
It's good.
Doesn't change the goal.
Super.
A pressure release doesn't change the goal. It just allows us to operate better.
Yeah. And what we have found, babe, like you and I, when we go through this time, is like when I am willing, and it's interesting because women are usually more likely and willing to share those emotions, right? And men have to learn how to do it and do it effectively, and with purpose. And I think even the consistency. But what we have found is it then brings us back into sync.
Mm-hmm.
Because we get out of sync because I'm not willing to share, and you're feeling it anyway. So I might as well be communicating that. And the other interesting thing too, then is the dynamics of, well, I'm sharing it, but then it's important too for whether you're sharing it or I'm sharing it, something that we're dealing with in emotions, because we want to get to a better truth. That's the importance of releasing so I can get to a better truth. But the important thing is, and this is the power of being one flesh and a spouse, is you not to own it as well. Because, it's really easy to say, well, see, this is my fault. Because I may be expressing something to you, or vice versa, you expressing something to me that I'm doing, but it's not for me to take on. Now, there are going to be conversations, situations where it's like, hey, this is what I felt in this situation, and I think we need to work on this. Versus, I just need to release this crap because I have all these emotions and this crap going on. I just need to get off my chest. That's a different conversation. But I do.
That comes from self-awareness too,
But
because I think those lines are crossed and people get confused because of this offense at everything. We no longer know what is just a release of pressure and what is something that we actually need to deal with. So this addiction to the victim, the addiction to punishment, this addiction to, chaos and drama has created this blur, if you will. So I think if you really are conscious and really want to create a healthy dynamic, a healthy relationship, start to exercise the muscles and differentiate, and that's really powerful. That's really powerful. And that in and of itself creates trust and safety. The willingness to say, okay, this is our team. We have the same goal. What is the how? Like, and recognizing, in our roles, in our respective roles, right?
Good.
How can we work together in that?
And I think
how do we differentiate that?
Another key point for men, me speaking to the men, is that not only trusting your wife that she can handle it, number one, but number two is also trusting that she's not going to see you lesser as a man because you're expressing your fears, your concerns, your pain, your shortcomings, right? I feel like I suck at this, and I have this fear, I have this frustration, I have this pain, and this hurts. And if I hadn't been willing to share with Chantel about my judgment or my fear of moving from California that represented like success to me, and going back to a podunk country town that had one stoplight and feeling like that to me is like Poorville. Like, that's my judgment. That was my story. But if I wasn't willing to be transparent and vulnerable, it doesn't make me lesser of a man. That's the message I want the men to hear. Mm-hmm. But it also is important that then the women don't grab a hold of that and just rip your balls off with that, because then now they can use it against you essentially. So there's a big trust factor there, because I think a lot of women do that. And that's where then it's like, well, screw you, I'm not doing this. And guess what? Potentially in a marriage, that has been happening, tit for tat, like you said. And so now it's like, I got to trust a little bit, and then trust.
Well, I think, it really is. It's about exercising the muscle, right? It's exercising the muscles and strengthening not only the trust, but the safety feature, right? So, what you're describing, in that season, so when a man and a woman, right, when we are able to, number one, acknowledge our feelings, and number two, be validated in those feelings, then it creates a safe place to where we don't have to harp on or hang on to or prove or justify the feelings. Because when they're validated, then it's like, okay, it's validated. Now I can move on, and it no longer controls me. So the emotions and the feelings control us when they're not validated. So that's a key factor in communication, right?
So good.
I was going somewhere else before that thought came, but
sorry.
I lost it.
You're amazing.
Oh, humility. Humility. Okay. So, it's so funny because we want our men to be humble and, whatever, but then we have this expectation that they have to handle everything. Well, guess what? We also have to create the safe space for them to feel like it's safe to be vulnerable,
Come on, girl.
you know?
Case in point, we were working on some stuff, and I'm notorious for being a micromanager. I just am. I'll own that shit. And so I've been working on it. My wife's been helping me, and she was working on some stuff, and I didn't know anything about it, meaning like the details, because that's how I micromanage. Well, I want to know so I can help. That's my justification, so I can help. And in this time, we'll finish with this, but because this ties into my word. Exactly. When you said that, I'm like, okay, I am going to share. I felt that I should, and I'm going to. But is how Chantel called me out on, which was great. She's like working on a project and I'm asking questions. She's like, I got this. Just go, stay in your lane. I know how to simplify stuff and make it better. Stay in your lane. And I'm like, but I want to help. And I got this idea. She's like, no, I got this. I don't need you to help with this. Go do what you're going to do. And I realized in that moment, like I had an emotional moment. I was like, thank you. Like I needed to be put in my place, number one. Number two, I need help with not micromanaging so we can grow. Oh, hardy, see? And number three was literally just knowing that that's one less part of the load that I had to carry because you got this and you were taking initiative. But also, normally you would be like, well, see, you make me feel like I don't know what I'm doing, which you did express that. And it's real. That was an emotion. But of course, I make everyone feel that way because I'm a micromanager and I'm owning that now. And like, how can I break this? Well, the only way I'm going to break it is if people call me out on it and say, no, I don't need you to help me. I got this. And then I can go, yes, you do. And I got emotional in that moment because I was like, I didn't realize I needed you to tell me that. I didn't realize how much I was feeling like I had to carry everything. And that's what micromanagers do.
But that's an addiction.
Yes.
Right? That is an addiction. So when he's operating in that kind of addiction, am I going to own it as saying, okay, well, and that is what the behavior does to me, is makes me feel like, well, you don't trust me. Maybe
Screw it then. You do it.
You do it. Right? So that's a vicious cycle that we can get caught in if we're not.
It's the opposite of what I wanted. I wanted this. I've always wanted it, but I didn't know how to like do it because I intimidate everyone. And finally, I don't intimidate my wife. And finally, there's freedom. You see that? Finally, I can release some things and trust. And it's control. It's an addiction. It's my lack of trust, my lack of like all these things. It's real that these things come up and these things happen. And there's people that deal with this stuff too as well, not just us. I know we're not alone, but it's real that I hope this is helpful that we talk about what we go through and yet we're still working on it and still getting better.
Yep.
So my word, I know we're over time. Thanks for those who stuck around. we miss each other, right? I miss you, babe. And so in our process that we talk about the Epic 30, which has been greatly simplified, and it's so proven, by the way, babe. My release was some journaling, and I'm here with Eric. He did some releasing through some journaling, but also his big thing, I noticed he does this when in his morning times, he goes for a walk. So like we talk about that, getting into nature and creation as part of a release as well can be used as a release. And he does. And I realize he comes back so much, like you can see the peace.
Lighter.
Lighter. And so it is powerful. And we'll be releasing soon. We went over that, but we will get that out there. The new version of Epic 30, the release, receive and give. So my release was some journaling and processing this morning, but even releasing now, talking with my wife about some of these things that I'm working on with clients is super powerful that I have an expert as my bride. And so, but the word that I got back was actually about humility before honor. So perfect, and it's so good how it does work that way. We want this honor. We want to have abundance because that's what that honor means. We want to get the rewards. We want to get the benefits, right? But we first have to be humble enough and release it. Humility is about being willing to be transparent about the things you've been through and what you're going through. We want to be all strong and courageous and appear to got it all together, and then nobody will trust you. That's not humility. Well, I've got it all together, so no one can ever be like Carlos. He's got it all together. He does everything perfect. So then they get overwhelmed and they don't want to work with us or work with me because, oh, Carlos is perfect. But it's actually the opposite. I make a ton of mistakes and I screw up a lot. And that's what the word was, Proverbs 15:33. You will be honored as they see how you will and have been in the trenches, toiling just like them. You have gone through the shit. You have been broken and you continue to work on yourself. That's the example that I want to be. I don't want to be the example that I'm perfect and got it all figured out because I don't. Not at all. But I am willing to work on it. And I am willing to listen and learn and grow. And I want to be teachable and coachable. And sometimes I probably appear that I'm not. I've been accused of that. And I get it. I can see why people would think that. But for me, it's because I got to push through my own shit, my own crap. And so I have to convince myself. And that was my word that I shared with you too, babe, how, that's what faith is and belief is to persuade your own brain. Well, sometimes I am a verbal processor. So then I just have to talk about it and convince myself while I'm convincing you. You think I'm just perfect, but really I'm trying to convince myself of these things too by communicating it. But really what needs to be communicated is the crap that I go through and deal with just like you, but that I'm willing to learn and keep growing. And I'm even willing to learn from my wife, my children, everyone I'm around. And when you have an expert like my wife, it's such a huge blessing. And even that was mind-blowing to finally see it. It's always been there. We've been together for years. And I hate to admit it, but it's been like these last few months even that it's become to light just what a badass gem I'm married to. Because I was able to get myself out of the way and be humble and see really what this woman has done for me and the life she has changed. And the reason why we've done well is because of our teamwork, not because of me and my ego tried to make me think that. So, because I'm such a driver, but it was the combination. So, humility before honor, and that word honor means abundance. And think about it naturally on a practical sense. People don't want to honor you, even lift you up or acknowledge that you're even somebody or anything if they don't see you as being real. And so that's my wisdom I receive from the Father that ties into the wisdom that I hear from my wife right now, how important humility is. And then number 3 now is give. So I just gave the wisdom. That was me giving some wisdom, but also I want to give my GWs real quick. And that is to my bride and Papa God himself. So this is our example too, how we give. We give the wisdom and share it. And then we also give GWs. So I'm going to do that real quick. Papa, I'm grateful. Papa God, grateful for your goodness, your heart, and your freedom. And you're worthy of more love, more faithfulness, true faithfulness. And Papa God, you are worthy of more joy coming from and connection with your children. Carlos, talking about myself, I'm grateful for your confidence, commitment on all levels, and your communication and willingness to be transparent. And you are worthy of more results, more fruit, lives being transformed, being a greater influence and impact, and leveling up in health and wealth in all areas of my life. I am worthy. Thank you. I receive that. And my beautiful bride, Chantel, I am super grateful for your incredibly beautiful, hot, sexy eyes, your hot, sexy legs, your butt, your abs, your arms, your face, your heart, but also your body shape, everything about you, every inch of you, I'm super grateful for. I'm also grateful for, though, your incredible head, your mind, your intelligence. You are one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. And I'm super grateful to be married to you. Your wisdom just far surpasses anybody I've ever known. And I'm super grateful that you have such incredible experience and wisdom. And also, I'm grateful for your leadership and your kindness and your patience. Mama Shalom. That's why I always called you Mama Shalom, and everybody knew that because of your patience with me through this process, years and years of process, and thousands of other people that you've been so patient and kind to. So I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for your love. So cool. So cool. And you are worthy of your wisdom and freedom message being heard by the world. And you are worthy of renewed and upgraded zeal on all levels of business and health and wellness and abundance. And you're worthy of our children's health and healing for our son and continued growth for our children and Hazel's dreams and Mateo's dreams coming true. I love and appreciate you, my queen, my best friend, my soulmate, my sexy hot
I
wife.
love you. Thank you. I received that.
Yes.
Yes.
So that is what we do. And it is what, no matter what our circumstances, no matter what our situations, we can still create extraordinary, no matter what, because we have a strategy and we have a powerful, amazing system of release, receive, and give. Thank you, Chantel, for
Thank
continuing.
you. You want me to, are you ready for me to give you yours?
I am, if you want to. I'm not trying to put you on the spot if you didn't have it there. I totally get it.
We've
I
been
just,
doing it for years.
yeah, I just knew I needed to do this because you said that about humility. I'm like, crap, that is so good that what you're talking about is exactly my word this morning, how important that is. So
Yeah.
thank you for always being in sync with me.
So my word from Papa was Proverbs 13:12. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life. So it was interesting because it kind of falls in line with even the mentality of hitting the snooze button, right? So procrastination, right? The procrastination that creates the overwhelm that causes us to then not even take action, right? But if we're fulfilling, in the little things, the things that we want to do, then that translates into the bigger picture of life. So I thought that was kind of cool, falling in line with, some of the conversations I was having this morning already. So Papa, I'm grateful for your love. I'm grateful for your revelation. I'm grateful for all of the ways you take us on a journey to learn the things that makes us better, that cause us to level up. And you're worthy of our action. You're worthy of our deleting the snooze button off of our phones. You're worthy of us, seeing a challenge and moving towards it. And knowing, that you've got us. So Chantel, I'm grateful for your love, your wisdom. I'm grateful for my patience and my ability to see the bigger picture. And I'm worthy of action. I'm worthy of people around me taking action and getting results. I'm worthy of our kids thriving on every level, mentally, emotionally, physically, relationally. I'm worthy of a husband coming home. I'm worthy of, just forward motion and progression on every level. And my love, Carlos, I'm so grateful for your humility. I'm grateful for your love, your dedication to our family, to our goals and dreams. I'm grateful for your ability to take massive action and to spin many plates. I'm grateful for your skills, your gifts, your talents, your strategies, and the way that your brain works that is so different than mine. I'm grateful for your amazing smile, and you're worthy of reaching your health and fitness goals. You're worthy of your six pack. You're worthy of the next level in, you know, your breakthrough mentally, emotionally, physically. You're worthy of knowing and feeling your value in everything that you do, and receiving the fruit of all of your tremendous labor. And you're worthy of, you know, seeing forward motion and progression in, you know, both our lives and our clients' lives, and seeing, you know, Epic Your Life just radically be a movement that changes and transforms lives. I love and appreciate you so much, and I miss you tremendously.
Thank you. I received that. I was reminded on this trip of how and we talked about it last night. One time she picked me up from the airport and we went and got a hotel room right away. We were just like, let's go. We're gonna have to go find us some woods, go park the truck in the woods, make out session. Oh, it's so good. I love you, babe. I can't wait to embrace you and hold you and love you well.
Yeah.
So it's always so much fun to be away from you, because it's like, ah, because I want you so bad. It's good. It's so good. The flirting, the fun that, well, we've been apart has been really good. So thank you. Thank you for being willing. Thank you for always being awesome. I love you.
I love you.
You
All
do
right,
the,
y'all. Go ahead.
no, you do the close, I said.
No, I couldn't hear you. So thanks for joining us on our Coffee Connect. For more content, join us on skool.com, skool.com/epic your life. We have lots of these kind of conversations, mostly a little bit shorter, but you know, we had a little extra long one today, but please join us on skool.com and have an amazing day. What are you doing to create extraordinary? I want you to think about that and go after it. So blessings, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, babe. Love you.
All right. Love you.